When Rudolf Diesel stood in front of crowds at the 1900 Paris World Exhibition to demonstrate his internal combustion engine, he didn't fill the tank with petroleum, he ran it on peanut oil. 8 years later, Henry Ford released the Model T. He designed that vehicle from day one to give drivers a choice, allowing it to run on farm-grown ethanol or gasoline. By 1880, John D. Rockefeller controlled 90% of American oil refining. He spent the following decades ensuring that no agricultural alternative could compete with his petroleum empire, using his market dominance to shape national energy policy around a single product. Today, we're going to expose the corporate tactics used to hide this capability from you. More importantly, we will walk through a step-by-step guide to bypassing the gas station by deploying a manual oil press right on your own workbench. Step 1 is selecting your crop. To produce your own fuel, you need an oil seed that thrives in your specific regional hardiness zone. This chart compares the raw yield ranges of 2 top performers. Sunflowers produce between 35 and 105 gallons of raw oil per acre. But if you live in a northern climate, look at canola, which yields between 75 and 240 gallons per acre. Canola stays liquid at colder temperatures, meaning it won't gel up in your fuel lines during a freeze. You can also choose flax. Squeezing flax seeds yields raw linseed oil, a material that treats and preserves wood, lubricates machinery bearings, and burns cleanly in a diesel engine. One crop provides 3 critical household supplies. By 1937, a network called Agro operated over 2,000 service stations across the American Midwest. These stations sold grain-based ethanol directly to drivers, proving that a decentralized farm fuel infrastructure was already functioning at scale. To stop this growth, Standard Oil dropped the price of leaded gasoline to 16 cents a gallon, selling at a loss to undercut Agrol. At the same time, they lobbied state and federal legislatures to block 50 different bills that would have supported alcohol fuel. The Agro plant in Kansas closed in 1939. It didn't collapse because the fuel was ineffective. It was bankrupted by a corporate entity that used predatory pricing and toxic leaded fuel to protect its market share. Step 2 is setting up your hardware. A manual cold press costs between $60 and $100 and contains no electronics. Bolt the heavy metal base securely to a sturdy table or workbench to handle the torque of the hand crank. Place a clean glass jar directly under the metal drip spout to catch the oil, and put a bucket at the extrusion end to catch the solid seed cake as it pushes out. This $100 setup allows you to extract fuel locally, bypassing the massive billion-dollar industrial refineries that the petroleum industry requires to function. This data visualization tracks federal energy spending between 1968 and the year 2000. During this window, the U.S. government gave $150 billion in tax credits and subsidies to the petroleum industry. In that same period, the entire farm fuel and ethanol industry received just $11 billion. Petroleum appears cheaper at the pump today because taxpayers have spent decades unknowingly subsidizing its extraction and distribution. Step 3 is the physical extraction. Feed your thoroughly dried seeds into the top hopper and turn the hand crank. The internal friction separates the raw oil from the solid plant matter. The Amish have used this process for generations to maintain a zero-waste cycle. The raw oil provides their energy, while the dry, high-protein seed cake becomes livestock feed or garden compost. The U.S. government briefly revived this technology during World War II to combat a rubber crisis. They reopened the very ethanol plants they had helped destroy in the 1930s to create aviation fuel and synthetic rubber. By 1944, 3/4 of all synthetic rubber in America came from these corn ethanol plants. However, as soon as the war ended in 1945, the government dismantled the infrastructure and sent farmers back to buying petroleum. This WW2 expansion proved that farm-based fuel was industrially viable and scalable. Rather than transitioning this infrastructure to civilian use after the war, the government chose to prioritize the return to petroleum-based energy. Step 4 is safe storage and blending. Raw, cold-pressed seed oil stores safely for 6 to 12 months if kept in a sealed bucket in a cool, dark place. For direct household use, you can burn 100% raw seed oil in standard oil lamps and kerosene heaters for emergency light and winter heat. To power a vehicle, you must follow this ratio. For an unmodified diesel engine, strictly blend 20 to 30% raw filtered seed oil with 70 to 80% standard pump diesel. Using 100% raw oil in a modern, unmodified engine can lead to mechanical failure. Tests conducted by Mythbusters showed that a 30% vegetable oil blend in a diesel car resulted in only a 3 mile/gallon decrease in fuel efficiency. This minor penalty is the trade-off for converting a standard diesel machine into a partially grid-independent tool without needing expensive conversion kits. By bolting a press to your workbench and utilizing a small portion of your land, you have established a functioning, decentralized fuel station. This setup provides a measure of insulation from global oil crises and supply chain failures. When fuel prices spike or gas lines wrap around the block, your primary energy source remains sitting in your shed. If you want to verify the specific budget lines and the full history of the petroleum industry's opposition to farm fuel, read The Forbidden Fuel, A History of Power Alcohol by Hal Burton, William Kovarik, and Scott Sklar. Ethanol was only one of the agricultural industries the government chose to defund. In the next video, we will examine a highly effective building material that was federally abandoned in 1937. Subscribe to the channel to find out what that material is and why it was suppressed.